a little background on me. So started my agency 18 months ago and was just on a real tight budget as far as, how much money I had to spend and invest into the business. So starting Facebook groups was almost a necessity more than anything. I didn't have a lot of money to invest in leads. I had gone through a couple of lead vendors and stuff like that and just wasn't really getting much ROI there. I wasn't having great success marketing in other Facebook groups just because there was already so many insurance agents in there that had, a brand name, reputation in the community and stuff like that. So instead of, kind of competing with all these other insurance agents, I figured I would start my own group and kind of take it from there. And my first one was going to be a networking group. And this was kind of in the middle of the pandemic still. So a lot of networking groups had fallen off and they weren't doing like in-person meetings and stuff like that. So they kind of had dried up. It was just like bulletin boards for advertisements and stuff like that. There's just a lot of opportunity there. So that was my first group, and I grew that to a little over 1,000, and that was a local community group. And we hosted monthly in-person meetings and stuff like that. And pretty much right away, it became my primary source of revenue. And it was real easy to kind of just put myself as the face of the group and, just, be the leader of it. And I let other insurance agents in, everything like that. So yeah, that was my first one. And I did that for about 8 months with that group. And then trucking kind of became my life towards the end of last year. And that's just been my primary focus. We started the trucking group in January. We've got 18,000 members in just over 9 months. And it is still, the primary source of all my revenue. That and other Facebook groups too. I mean, there's 100 groups. So just kind of realized there was just a lot of opportunity on there all the time. You might as well have that Facebook group. And we just kind of took it off from there. You can start a group from anything. Just make it something that you're passionate about, because you're gonna have to, kind of create that engagement there in the beginning. So it needs to be something that not only you want to write business on, but like something that you can contribute to and, drive engagement and stuff like that. And you don't want to get burnt out later. So kind of take it from there.
Don, so can you explain kind of to the group, like why you chose the trucking industry? I know a lot of people, especially on the P&C side, they, that do commercial, lean towards trucking. So can you tell them a little bit about your background on why you chose trucking? Just so that they have an idea of like when they're looking to build their niche group, how they can relate it kind of to their experience and why they want to do it, like what their why is.
I chose trucking because before insurance, I was a truck driver. And it was kind of something I was always interested in writing and kind of bringing myself back towards that industry. I started with State Farm, so we didn't really have any appetite for writing trucking. And then when I went independent, I kind of just took it real slow. Like I didn't really want to get super involved in commercial and stuff like that until I had a bit more experience and confidence, stuff like that. And then Joe Camper jumped on a call with me towards the end of last year, kind of gave me the rundown on it, just a real brief rundown, and just went all in. And he threw me a little lead as to what groups to be in. And every single day there's people in there asking about insurance. So I realized there's, a lot of opportunity. I already had the markets, I needed Progressive and a couple of MGAs and stuff like that. I already had those for other accounts. So I didn't really have to do too much work to, get myself involved in trucking. And then just felt real natural after I started writing it and stuff like that. I could speak their lingo. I knew what their struggles were, stuff like that. And it just felt real natural. And then I saw the premium involved. And at the time I was writing, like a good month for me would have been like 40,000 in premium. Personal lines, that would have been like 20 accounts. I was grinding to get that 40,000. It was not easy. And then after my first month, we did like 2 trucking accounts, and it was like over 60,000 just on those 2 accounts. So it just made sense to put all my focus into that, try to get those 2 big accounts a month, and then still have those personal line, policies kind of coming in more naturally and organically. And then it just became like just my primary focus at that point.
Cool. And then guys, if you have questions that come up also, please put it in the chat and then we'll start bringing those questions in as he's going. With that being said, Don, like, so you started originally with trucking. Now we're kind of focusing a little bit deeper into the trucking, right? Like now we're getting even deeper into the specific type of truckers that you're looking to build. Can you talk to them a little bit about kind of what you were doing prior, what you're going to be focusing on now, and why you've made that transition also?
So prior is just writing anything I could get my hands on, new venture, experienced ventures, all kinds of different types of operations, stuff like that. Just I was going to write everything I absolutely could. Then after a little while, I kind of realized what business was, stickier than others. So kind of just a little bit more focused now on the experienced operators because I've realized, after a couple of years, they're pretty serious about the business. Whereas the new ventures I was writing, basically like 20% of them are falling off in the next few months. Whether it be just tough times in the economy or just poor money management, stuff like that. So I'll still write the new ventures, but I just try to make sure that I have the more experienced operators to support that business, just because I know it's more likely to stick and stuff like that. And Rich, I'm not a techie at all. I'm very challenged when it comes to tech stuff. I have to ask around, get help on just about everything, like even down to like my emails and stuff like that. So I'm very challenged when it comes to tech stuff. Facebook groups not very tech involved at all. It's super easy. Facebook has a ton of tools for managing those groups and stuff like that. They make it super simple, and even for somebody like me that struggles with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you said that because I'm in the same boat as you. So
yeah, Facebook makes it easy, and there's so many tools when managing that group, like down to like your notifications and stuff like that. It makes it super simple.
Thank you.
Cool.
James, percentage of my business comes from Facebook group, about 90%, and then the other 10% pretty much be like referrals and stuff like that. Current clients, 90% is off of Facebook groups.
Donald, what I love about this is Victor talked about it in the beginning, was you niching down to somebody that you wanted, right? But then another thing that you're pointing out here that I want to double point out is that now you've niched down, now you're niching down in your niche, and you're really working down this, this line to find this perfect ideal client avatar. And that's really cool. So can you talk a little bit more about like finding that person you want to work with, and then how does the transition work? Is it easier than writing lingerie stores or something that you're not familiar with? So talk a little bit about that for us.
So I think if you started a Facebook group and you're, pumping leads out of there, it takes a little bit of time to kind of figure out what you want to write specifically from that. So I'll let these people approach me, and they send me messages, and I'll write them. I'll take care of them, stuff like that. But if I'm directly marketing that group, I'm marketing for what I actually want. So I'm looking for operations that are 3 years in business. They've been around, stuff like that. So when I'm actually marketing and advertising myself, I'm very specific with what I'm looking for. But people that are new ventures and stuff like that, they're going to still reach out to me all the same, and I'll still take care of them. But like my actual outbound efforts are focused on the clients that I really want.
Hey, Donald, it's Brady here. I wanted to see for you with trucking markets, man. What's the red flags or questions you listen to or questions you ask your prospects, just to see if they're going to stick around? Just because a lot of times I've had some negative success with it, where you write a new venture and it's just a COI every week or something, and then every month it's non-payment. So is there any questions you ask them besides saying, are you a new venture, not to see if they can make that payment and not have anything go against you on the books?
Mostly asking like how long you've been in business, what your current struggles are with your current insurance. Like if they're 4 months into the business and with Progressive and they're complaining about the rates, that's just tough. Like that's just how it goes. Progressive is going to be their number one carrier in that first month. So if they're having a hard time with that, I really can't offer them too much, and it may not be an ideal fit for me either. A lot of times people will come to me because, you know, they have a huge bill because they're behind with Progressive and stuff like that. I don't really want that. Like if they're behind with their current agent, they're probably going to be behind later on, you know. A lot of these truckers, they make really good money, like right off the rip. You know, they're doing 6 to 8K a week, you know, gross. The money's there. It really is poor money management a lot of the times.
Awesome. So Don, obviously the first thing you would probably recommend is, you know, get started, right? Like create the group, pick a niche, right, that you want to go into. And a niche isn't like, oh, I want to do homeowners. It should be like, oh, I want to do brand new homes, right? Brand new homeowners. It should be something very specific and targeted. But I guess the next most important question for everyone attending this call would be, how exactly are you building this group to 18,000 plus in 9 months? Like what are the actions that you're taking within the group to build it around that specific niche that they can take when they build their group to help them build?
So actually growing the group it's all off of Facebook algorithm and how often Facebook is going to be recommending your group to people in similar groups and stuff like that. So a lot of that's going to be analytics based. They want to see that you have engagement. They want to see new posts, comments on those posts, weekly new members, stuff like that. So you got to keep those numbers really high. In the beginning, it's really, you know, challenging because the group's going to be your baby. It's not everybody else's baby. So every single post that goes up, you need to be engaging with it, you know, commenting, liking, all the comments on there. Just keep those metrics super high. So Facebook's going to, like, if you had a trucking group and those metrics are really high, Facebook is going to recommend your trucking group to a bunch of people that are in other trucking groups. And those people are going to want to join a group that they see a lot of engagement and stuff in, because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for engagement on their posts. They're looking to have conversations with people in these groups and stuff like that. They don't want to join a stale group. So you got to really push in the beginning. Like the first 1,000 members is really tough just because there's not so much engagement. So you kind of have to drive that yourself in the beginning, whether it be a real estate group, a trucking group, whatever group you start, the engagement has to be like your main priority. You want to encourage conversations in the group, you know, reply to people, let them talk to each other and stuff like that. Another thing we do is we welcome all our new members, and that's real simple. Facebook sets it up for you. It's a couple clicks, but that serves a few purposes. Not only are you actually welcoming people, they feel welcomed. They're going to respond to that. They're going to like the post. You're going to respond to their comments on your post and stuff like that. It's just a real easy cheat code for driving that engagement. And they're going to feel, you know, compelled to come back and post in there now that they've been welcomed into the group and stuff like that. They're going to feel a little bit of, you know, appreciation for that. Another thing we're doing is in the beginning, I'm inviting as many people I know that are already on my friends list that this might, you know, be useful for. Like if I'm having the networking group, I'm inviting everybody in the community that has a business. You know, it benefits them as well. If I start a trucking group, I'm inviting every trucker I know on my friends list because it benefits them. Like they're going to find information in there, conversation in there. Kind of getting those new members, that first 1,000 as quick as possible, just by inviting those people. And then I ask members to invite people they think would benefit from them too. They probably have, like if you have a trucking group, they're probably friends with hundreds of truckers. Invite them into the group too. And, you know, they're going to feel welcomed as well. And the group's going to be that much more important to them because somebody that they know and trust and respect invited them to that.
Awesome. So Don, I have one more question. And guys, if this is your first call on this, on insurance growth workshops, I want you to know we try to keep this within 30 minutes so we could be respectful of your time. And we try to give you guys as much actionable content that's valuable to you that you could take into your business within 30 minutes, right? So we like to leave like the last 10 minutes for open Q&A for you guys. So if you do have questions, we're going to open it up in like 2 minutes. But Don, I have one more question for you. So when you're building the group, obviously it's important to open it up to build it as quick as possible, right? Facebook wants you to stay on the platform and use it as much as possible. And so they incentivize you when you have these groups and you're active, like he was saying, and they're going to recommend it to other people in other groups to get you to join that most active groups. They want people to be active on their platform. And so there's a lot of incentive for Facebook to recommend these groups that are active. But when you're building a niche group, right, you run into a little bit of a dilemma where it's like you want to be active and you want to grow it, but how do you do that? And making sure that everyone that comes in is within that niche, because sometimes people slide in that have nothing to do with what that is, right? Whether it's, you know, you're building a group for truckers, but other insurance agents are trying to slide in, right? And that's not necessarily what you would want. So what do you recommend? Do you recommend at first starting with an open public group? Do you start from the get-go with a private group and you hand select who comes in and you give them those knockout questions to join the group, right? Because I'm a moderator on a couple different groups, and you know, when new people come in, if they're not answering questions, they're automatic decline. I don't care who you are, right? And so what would you recommend to people starting their first group on like growing it to that first 1,000 as quick as possible? Do you recommend them doing it very targeted with the exact type of people that they want, or do you just leave it open so that, you know, you can grow it as quick as possible?
I keep my groups private, and I think it's more beneficial because if it's public, somebody can go and they can preview what's already in the group, and they may not be interesting to them. Whereas if it's private, there's kind of like some mystery behind that. They're going to want to join just to see what's going on in there, and they're probably not going to go out of their way to leave at that point. So I always leave it private. I have membership questions that I moderate really heavily. People have to answer those. I'm asking for emails. You know, what do you do in the industry? And do you agree to all these rules? And we have these rules to say no spamming. There's a few other rules in there, but you know, I'm very serious about that. Like I don't prioritize growth over the integrity of the group. There's a lot of spam, there's a lot of bot profiles and stuff like that. As soon as your group gets flooded with those, it's pretty much game over. People don't want to see these scams. They don't want to fall for these scams, stuff like that. You know, if that gets out, it's just done. So I moderate that super heavily. And I want to harp on, like, you know, growing is really awesome, but it would be better to have a small group with tons of engagement. Every post has 100 comments. The members know and like each other and stuff like that. That's so much more important than having 100,000 members. Because there's groups like that out there. There's groups with 100,000 members, but they only get like 5 posts a week and 10 new members a week and stuff like that. Those groups have died off. Typically the moderators have stopped caring. They let whoever in. There's just a ton of, like, you know, bot profiles and stuff like that. So growth is really good, but the integrity of your group is probably more important for, you know, long term, especially if you're going to market that later, be the face of that. So growth is good, but I'd be real strict on who you're letting in. You need to know exactly who you want in from the very beginning, and just don't be lenient on that. Like if you have a very specific person you want to be joining your group, you know, don't change that just because you want your group to grow.
Awesome. Well, we've got about 7 minutes. We could stretch it extra probably 5 or 10 more, just to make sure everyone has their questions answered, because we do have, you know, a nice sized group in here today. Let me go through the questions in the chat first that we haven't been able to answer because chat's been pretty active. Joe wants to know, how'd you get so extremely good looking? That's, you know, this is probably genetics, but Jay Falconio says, can we talk about running in-house dot numbers, charging a fee for this, and the benefits of having it ran by an employee in-house?
So I was texting you earlier on that, Jay. That's something I'm working up right now. I'm really trying to expand outside of just insurance money. I would like to generate revenue in a few different spots, and I think that's really powerful. Because if you're, you know, doing these DOT numbers for people, you're the first in front of them. And if they can do everything with one person, you know, they're doing their DOT, they're doing the compliance, they're doing their insurance with one person, it sets you up like you're the first opportunity for them, you know, to get insurance and stuff like that. It really supports, you know, the agency side of things as well. And at the end of the day, like a fee to start somebody's DOT and they don't buy insurance from you, you've made some money off of them at least. So I think it's good to expand to something like that.
I appreciate you touching on that. Yeah, it was just a question I had. Kind of seems like same place, same time, like hit 2 birds with 1 stone. So appreciate you taking.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Cool. All right. Brady says, how do you recruit and expand the Facebook group to that level? I think we already touched on that. Let's see what else we have. Rich. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, Rich says, what kind of markets do you have, and are you directly appointed, or are you using an aggregator for those appointments?
So my basic ones would be like Progressive and Berkshire. I do go through an aggregator for those. And then outside of that, just MGAs that fit what you're looking for. Right now, I'm a big fan of Maguin's. Their underwriters handle things really quickly and they keep you in the loop on everything. They've also have trained me on a lot of stuff. Like if I was encountering something for the first time, they've, been really patient with me and actually taught me what I need to know. Whereas, other MJs might just do it for you and you still are confused later. So I like Amwins. They're really easy to get appointed with.
Yeah. And guys, just to touch on that real quick, when you're building a niche group that's for a specific product, you don't want to have as many options as possible, right? You want to have a specific product that ties in directly with the exact type of demographic that you're looking to capture. So you should really only be looking for one, maybe two different carriers that fits exactly who you're looking for so that you can build that book with that product for that person that you're looking to build around, right? If I want to build, preferred clients, I'm not going to put them through Infinity Auto Insurance, right? Like it's just not going to happen, right? These not like a non-standard company. So you have to understand one, what the company's target market is, what their appetite is, and then what does it align with what you're trying to build. So just keep that in mind because it makes it a lot easier for you to go with marketing and find those people that you're looking for. Okay.
Yeah, you don't want, these carriers are basically tools at your disposal, and you really need to know how to use them effectively to save you time. Ultimately, like if I don't know what my carrier's appetite is, I'm just going to be sending everything I can to them. And a lot of those are just going to get kicked back. And you probably set the wrong expectation with that client in the first place, saying that you had carriers. Whereas, if I know somebody won't take them, I can just save everybody time and tell them like, you're probably in a good spot right now, or I don't have anything better for you. Saves you time there.
Yeah. And one of the great things about it when you niche down, not only does it it gives you that tunnel vision on who you're going after on the marketing side, but what it allows for you to do is open up referral partnerships with other agents, right? That might not be in the same specific niche that you're in. So when you do have people who don't fit your appetite, right? So like Don's focusing on established truckers because he knows that it's going to retain at a higher clip, much higher clip than new venture. He's going to go out and he's going to connect with agents who do new ventures only, right? And you put together an agreement. Hey, if you run into someone who's established, you send them to me. Every time I have someone who's new venture, I'm going to send it to you. So now it opens up new partnerships where he can still focus on what he's doing with trusted referral partners, right? You don't just go out on Facebook and ask for any random person who can, take the business that you're referring over, but it allows you to create those partnerships and start building around it as well. James asks, how often do you parent the group, like deleting comments and kicking people out?
All day long. I have moderators now that handle a lot of that for me. And every group, if you start a group and you ask people who wants to be a moderator, they're going to volunteer. They take good pride in being a moderator and stuff like that. You kind of got to make sure that they're aligned with what you're looking to do. Everybody's on the same page. You got to make sure you're on the same page with, what stays, what gets deleted and stuff like that. But all day long, if comments being reported for spam, something like that, they're straight out the group as quickly as possible. Because like I said, you don't want to taint that group with anything, negative. People will leave the group real quick if they think it's full of spam. So as soon as you see it, get rid of it. But I also have like all these moderation alerts. So like if logo is mentioned, I get a notification because it's probably going to be spam. If insurance is mentioned, I'm going to get a notification because it's probably something of interest to me. So you can set up all these different alerts that anytime a keyword's mentioned, you're in there and like really quickly. So that's super powerful.
Yeah. Joe says, just because a group has a ton of members doesn't make it a good group. Joe also, he's built his group from the ground up. He's built like 50 different groups that are all syndicate based. So he's got a ton of groups that he's got. Seeing Joe build that from the ground up, like I can tell you right now, no one like modifies and kicks people out of groups as quick and as good as Joe does. They have super, super high activity within that group, like ridiculously high for groups. And it's because he does a lot of modding, right? Like they mod the group, they kick people out when they're, scamming and spamming and all that stuff. And the other key is like making sure that people are providing valuable content to the group, right? It's not just being active for the sake of being active, because anyone could go in and ask a stupid question in a group that's going to generate activity, but it's not the activity that you're going to want, right? You want people to talk about whatever the group's niche is. So just make sure when you are modding your group that, you know, all the information is relevant to what the group is for and that it doesn't get out of hand. Brady, what are key questions that you have to create engagement, whether it's on a personal or business page?
So with all my groups, it's real simple. Like in the networking groups, I would ask like, hey, what's something that you've invested in your business that changed the game for you? Everybody's going to feel like super compelled to respond to that. You know, they all feel like they made the best investments and stuff like that. Yesterday, I asked my trucking group, what do you guys listen to while you're on the road? I got like 100 comments because everybody listens to something. You know, they're going to want to contribute to that conversation and put their 2 cents in. So it can just be real random. It doesn't have to be super specific. I like to ask, like, what are you paying for insurance? So many people will drop like what they're paying for their insurance. And not only that, like if I see something that's like really ridiculous, I can hit them up and be like, why are you paying so much? And like, that might be a new lead for me. And people get conversation on that. Like if somebody's paying some like a really low premium, all the members like, who's it with? What do you know, how'd you get so low? So those kind of comments or those kind of questions, you know, get a lot of comments and reactions.
Yeah. Cynthia asks, being new at trucking, how do you compete / get carriers? It's an extremely competitive market, as most high premium markets are. I think that's the whole purpose of building this group, right? So that you can get laser focused on what your target market is and a specific product that is competitive for that product. And when you're building a group, you're building yourself as an authority, right? And I think that's one of the keys to building a group. You become an authority. People are looking to you for answers. They're looking for you for information. And so it makes it easier to make a sale than just randomly calling someone. But Don, if you have something else you want to add to that, go for it.
No, I think that's spot on. That's the difference between being in a group and owning the group. You know, if you're in a group and somebody asks about insurance, especially something competitive like trucking, you know, right away, there's going to be like 30, 40 agents commenting on that. And how do you set yourself apart from that? It's really difficult, especially when you all have the same markets. But when you own the group, you're the first in line. You know, you might be, if it's exclusive and you don't let any insurance agents in, you're the only one. So I think that's definitely a way to put the odds in your favor.
Awesome. Nick Acosta says, damn, so you personally approve 18,000 people, or does Facebook automatically approve it?
I've between me and the mod team, I've personally approved every single member. You know, if I just let every single person in the group, it'd probably be 50K. You know, we're denying two members for every member that we bring in. So yeah, I think it's really important that you stay in front of that, just so you know exactly who's coming into the group, you know, what their intentions are and stuff like that. It also helps you maintain the integrity of the group.
And Don, with a group of 18,000 plus, how many people do you have modding the group to keep it, you know, to make sure that it's being modded efficiently and that you guys aren't letting things slip through the cracks? How many mods do you have?
We have 2 admins and 2 mods.
Okay. Awesome.
Something like trucking is super simple. 2 of those moderators are truckers. You know, they get to a truck stop at night, their hotel, they're sleeping in the truck, whatever. They get a lot of downtime. And so it's good to have somebody on the team that, you know, and they're up, you know, weird hours sometimes, late at night, later than I am. So they're catching stuff before I even wake up in the morning. But that could be up to you. You might have a group that only requires 2. You guys kind of play that by feel.
Awesome. James Patera says, any advice on doing Facebook ads? I think we'll probably have a separate training on that here coming up in the next couple months. So that's, you know, we'll save that for a different call. Sandra said, everyone drop the type of group you're thinking about starting. Brady wants to do new homeowners. That's awesome. Joe says, make sure your carriers are congruent with your business model and what you're trying to bring into your agency. Absolutely. Nicole says she wants to create either a trucking or a pest control group. I think pest control would be awesome. That's super, super niche. And if you have products to go around that, like, you know, I think that'd be a good one. Brad says a last mile delivery group.
Good idea. I
Brady
want to,
says, great
you know, you
job.
can, like, it doesn't, trucking, there's just a ton of truckers. So it kind of made it easy to start a trucking group. You can start a group for absolutely anything. I think community groups are really good. You know, if that's in your backyard, stuff like that. You could start like a fan group, like a Cowboys fans of Texas group. You could do an Airbnb group. You can start a group for literally anything, and it's going to pump leads, especially if, you know, given that everybody's from America and stuff like that. Every single member could be a potential client. So with enough work, do whatever you want.
I'm
Absolutely.
gonna jump in there too. Like, so those of you guys that are like, Donald started a networking group first and then niched down into trucking. So he mentioned the community groups. Those are the groups that you come in and say, these are the activities that are happening this weekend. They turn into huge referral groups. So if you're not somebody that's writing commercial, or you can't stand mice and you don't want to start a pest control group, right? Look at what you can do within your community. If you're in Medicare on here, right? Like Robert Kent, you could start a group of 60 plus activities for 60-year-olds and older in Dallas, Texas, right? And then you start partnering with some of the nonprofits and some of these other people, and you host some events and classic car groups, right? So really start thinking, because what happens is we get on this group, we get on this and we're like, okay, Joe has a trucking group and Donald has a trucking group, and so I'm going to make a trucking group, right? But really look at your niche, right? This can be a monkey see, monkey do, and then you're like, well, my trucking group sucks. Donald's an idiot, and I hate Victor. And it turns out that trucking just wasn't what you wanted to do. So look out. You know, you could do an extreme couponing group. Somebody said they want to focus on new homeowners. One of the most difficult things about building a new home is the design of it, right? Think about the women that are trying to pick out their different colors. What kind of pantry do I want? Do I want a hidden pantry? What do I do with the space under the stairs? You can share other people's TikTok videos into that group. Like, you don't have to create the content yourself. So it can be, you know, how do you, you know, building your dream home, and you have different tips come in, plus your referral partners coming in. And so really think about this. Like, this is something that you should sit down and map out, right, Donald?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, one of your first, you know, questions to yourself needs to be, what can you support with content? Because like I said, those first few members, it's real tough getting them to post. It's real tough to get them to engage with other posts and stuff like that. So you have to be the backbone of that content. If you start something completely random because, you know, you want it for the big premium and stuff like that, you're not gonna, you know, be very motivated to find the content to put it in there and drive engagement and stuff like that. And again, like, if you have a group that is only 1,000 members and that's your ideal client, that's better than having a group with, you know, 10,000 that you can't really work with. So it needs to be, you know, very specific to your interests.
Awesome. James says, how do you maintain interest if they start fading off, like within the group?
Drop a post, you know, just get a post on there that's going to drive a bunch of engagement, stuff like that. Every time that they comment or engage with a post, it's more likely to pop up on their personal feed when new posts are in there and stuff like that. But you do got to really stay on top of that, and you will have those metrics. It'll tell you like how many comments have been, you know, posted in the last week and stuff like that. So you want to, you know, make sure that's kind of always going up. There's slow periods, and you can't do anything about that other than, you know, continue to post yourself and, you know, driving conversation in the group and stuff like that.
Yeah. Jay says, can we quickly go over metrics for trucking? What's a good month, bad month, a very good month for you for one agent that's producing trucking? I don't think we have enough time to go over metrics, like, because that's something that you can go very deep on and get a lot of really good information. But what I would say is, like, for your group, right, for 18K, how many leads would you say you're producing each month out of that group?
I probably do 10 to 15 that I can personally work. And then there's probably a total of 30 or 40 that I have to send out. Like Jay, you get a lot of leads up north. Jim gets a lot of the leads up north and stuff like that. And so total leads probably around 40 a month. And not all of those are able that I can work. I may not be in those states and stuff like that. But yeah, so that would be a, you know, good month.
Gotcha. All right. Thanks.
Awesome. Well, if anyone has any other questions, feel free to unmute your mic and ask away. And if you don't, that's fine too. We had plenty of questions. There was a lot of good stuff in this call today. But
And you guys are always welcome to message me if you have anything. If you start a group, bring me in there, and I'll help you drive engagement, stuff like that. I'll comment on every post and help you get that thing off the ground.
Don, I just made a group.
Did you? Get me in there, dude.
I will.
Awesome. Yeah. Reach out to Don if you guys have any questions. Also, feel free, if you're not friends with him on Facebook, go shoot him a friend request. If you guys aren't following Insurance Growth Workshops, please shoot a follow. We do one call every month. So we'll have one again next month. But that being said, Don, thank you so much, man, for coming on and teaching today.
It seems like it's really hard to figure out like what you want to make your group for. Have you ever had two groups that like feed off each other?
No, I have not.
Because I was just trying to brainstorm, like, what do I want my group to be? And I can think of like 10 things right this second. But
if you're having a real hard
a
time,
couple of them.
I would do the community group. Like, do something in your backyard, do something that you can host in-person events for. It's really easy to share content if it's happening, right in your backyard. So if you're having a hard time, start with that. And then, eventually I bet you'll have a million more ideas and jump on all of them. Every group can be successful.
Thanks.
Awesome. Well, cool. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to Don. Thank you guys again for hopping on today, and we'll have another one coming next month. And I hope you guys have a great day. Go kill it.
Thanks, everyone.
Go crush it.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate
Nice
it.
work, Donald.
Yep.
Thanks, buddy.
See you guys.
Later.